All right, guys, welcome back. I wanted to talk for a few minutes about a few lessons that I've learned with owning an online business. I own a concierge merchandising business, so we are creating ground up apparel lines for artists, creators, and people with personal brands. And the first lesson I've learned is actually a question, and it's, is it worth your time? And I feel like this is a really trivialized question, and a lot of the times it feels like a rhetorical question, but you really have to ask yourself in business, is it worth my time? And I'll give you a breakdown of my funnel and how I learned this lesson. So for my business, the in in a really short way, my funnel is find an artist. Okay, we're going to work together. We're creating artwork, and then we're moving on to mock-ups, then we're moving on to production. Well, if you have outsourced your production, it doesn't take very long to make mock-ups. Your bottleneck in terms of time is artwork. Artwork takes many hours, and it takes revisions, which is great because you want to create the perfect vision for your client. But at the same time, if me, the owner, is solely focused on creating the artwork, well, then how am I also going to be able to put my time into outreach, into creating advertisements, and creating content? And I'm not going to be able to. So if you can hire somebody or outsource your work, and you either break even or make a little bit of profit off that, well, great, because you're not in the artwork business. If you are in the business of merchandising, your ticket is going to be actually producing the apparel. So you have to weigh your pros and cons and choose your battles. But for me, I outsource my artwork if it's going to be very technical, because it's not worth my time. I'm not going to be able to focus on the other aspects of the business as the sole owner of it. And this kind of just piggybacks off of the question, is it worth your time? And it's just going to be, we'll call it like a little sub lesson almost. But busy does not mean productive. And you see people who own multiple businesses in entrepreneurship. And if their main focus is only being busy, well, then how are they supposed to be able to own multiple businesses? So you got to think what produces results, not what keeps you occupied. Next lesson, and it's probably said by everyone until they're blue in the face, but consistency. Oh, misspelled consistency. Um, and what does consistency mean in an online business or in any business? And I will give you an example, and I will give my cold outreach as my example. So for me, I I really hated sending cold DMs when I first started. I just thought it was the most mind-numbing thing to do. And I don't mind it anymore just because as you grow and you see results, you do what gains you results because that's what makes you feel good. So I was sending five a day, maybe once every 3 days, and I was getting mad when I wouldn't see results, which is shame on me because how would you see results sending 15 or 20 DMs a week? Honestly, you need to be sending a minimum of 100, 150 DMs per week. So for me, I do 25 per day, 6 days a week. And if you think of it just as a task that needs to be done, as opposed to something that you're expecting a result out of, it becomes a lot easier because then it just becomes a task. It becomes like going to the gym. You just have to do it. Put aside the hour and a half a day, get the work done, and you will see the results as time goes on. Next up is you must adapt. And I will give you my example. So I did not start my business with the intention of merchandising for other people. I had the intention of starting a streetwear brand. But I'll be honest with you, my vision for it sucked. I thought it was a lot better than it was, but I was trying to be busy and not trying to be productive. My content sucked, my advertising sucked, everything was low quality, and I didn't have a vision for what my content was supposed to be. I thought I would just be able to make content, get views, get sales, but that's not how it works. Um, but I did have good quality apparel. So an artist that I had worked with, I had given a T-shirt to advertise for, and that same artist, for their album, asked me to make their merch for them. And I had a light bulb go off in my head when he asked me that. And so after that point, I had started making merch for other artists and began my cold outreach. But had I not taken that idea and ran with it, I'd still be in that same position of having a crappy streetwear brand that wasn't getting sales. And adapting doesn't always mean completely pivoting off your business model. If you have something that's successful, adapting also means changing changing your advertising approach so that it can be more successful. Or if you have something that's not working, say you have a meta ad that's not really that successful, cut it, change your demographics, see what you can change in a creative. Fourth lesson I've learned is trust the process. And this one might not make a lot of sense if you're just starting a business, but you can trust the process if you have a strategy. And okay, say your strategy hasn't produced results, but it hasn't produced results yet if you're just starting a business. But okay, say for me, I know that I'm sending 25 cold DMs a day. I respond to every single comment I get. I have ads running and I'm working on making content. There's only so much you can do. And if you're putting a lot of effort into every single aspect of those, well, you're probably outworking a lot of people. So if you can trust that and keep doing that hard work, even on the days where you're not yielding results, but you're doing it consistently over a long period of time and doing things that are worth your time, you are probably going to see results. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but down the line, you will see results. And say you do have a good piece of content, say your meta ad is set up just properly for that. Well, you may not see results on the first day because it takes 7 impressions to make a sale. So trust the process, trust what you're doing, and have faith in yourself. All right, I'm going to end it on this, and it's to enjoy the journey. It's very, very easy to focus on the end goal or the material item that you have attached to the hard work that you put in. But there is nothing linear about entrepreneurship. And if you compare it to something like going to college, college is very linear. You get good grades, you move on to the next semester, you graduate in 4 years. But in entrepreneurship, a lot of times you're just shooting in the dark, which is completely fine, because sometimes that's how it goes. So enjoy it. And we're going to go back to trusting the process. And you can enjoy it by surrounding yourself with motivated people. And say you struggle with finding motivated people to surround yourself with, I would say the best way to do it is go to a gym. That is probably the number one place to find yourself around motivated people. And I would say try and find gyms where it's more of a local demographic. Maybe it's not an EOS or a 24-hour fitness where you're going to find those people. It'll probably be in more studio style gyms, but it is worth the time and it's worth the money to put a little extra money into finding a good gym membership or somewhere where you can find people who are equally motivated because your network is going to be your net worth and all this stuff. And, maybe a lot of the stuff sounded like it was gimmicky, but it's lessons that I learned and I try to apply every single day in my business. I hope you guys were able to learn something. I hope you appreciated it. I like making these videos, so we're going to keep doing it.